Just before we get started with episode 85 of Superstar Spotlight, I want to thank my great sponsors, the beautiful people, my homie Ian 30, who's always out here making my outros, the Facebook Reels, the Instagram shorts, whatever you want to call them. He's out here doing the hard work for me. So hit up Ian, get some cool shit done by my boy. He is willing to drop everything and help out a good person who needs a good hype video in need. We also got the Skittle Squad. Shout out Skittle and his Discord server. We are on the road to Yardcore 4. Hit up Skittle, be a part of the Discord, and be a part of Yardcore 4 at the undisclosed location in upstate New York. Be there. You're not going to want to miss it. We also got Pookie Wrestlers outside the Canadian region. Shout out Pookie for making all these great Pookie-fi designs just like this one right here. Many other great designs to be sticker-fied soon. We also got the Bocce Boys. Shout out Hammer the crew for making, I got the flag right behind me. They got the shirts, the pins, the stickers, the 8x10s. The Bocce Boys got some pretty cool merch. Go hit them up at thebocceboys.com. And last but not least, my good homie, B-Dub Photos. Shout out Becca Dub doing the damn thing. Get a cool photographer and do the cool photographer thing. And my guest for the evening, I got to hang out with this individual once. And you never thought you'd hear the sentence of a hot dog and a human monster truck hanging out together at a bar in Wisconsin, but if you know who I'm talking about, I got the human monster truck, Perry Von Vicious, in the house. What's up, Perry?
Hey, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I just remember it's the little things. Once someone gets under the hot dog radar, I'm like, all right, I got to finally have a nice little sit down, one-on-one. Me and you, Perry, I'm ready to answer these questions if you are my friend.
Absolutely.
Let's do this then. All right, first question, the one I always love kicking it off with. Perry, what made you want to become a professional wrestler, and any memory of your first wrestling match?
So I was I don't come from the same background a lot of people come from. A lot of people come from like an athletic background, or they grew up watching a ton of wrestling. Like it was like the family loved it. You know, you hear those stories a lot. My family very much did not like wrestling. My kid brother and I we liked watching it because we were two great big huge kids who were roughly the same age. Like we're 15 months apart, and you know, we were already brawling with each other all the time. So it's not like we were going to pick up any bad habits, right? Um, and you know, I came into middle school right at the end of the new gen era, right as Attitude Era was cracking. So like, there's not a better time. The Monday Night Wars were like, you know, just catching fire. There's not a better time to be like in the 7th grade, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's a great time to get into like goofing off and wrestling out in the, you know, I'm in New England here, wrestling out in the snow with your friends, because you're just old enough to run and do flips, but just young enough that you can't really hurt each other too bad. So we stayed out of trouble with it. I don't come from the normal background. I was a theater geek. I played in a punk band. We toured. We played Warped Tour for 2 summers.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I had this problem though, that I became 6'3", and at the time I was 300 pounds, and I was the male actor in my high school. Like I was at a very small high school and there wasn't a lot of competition. My graduating class was fewer than 80 kids.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was a really small high school. And so not a lot of competition, but I was the theater kid. I was the kid in the chorus and in band. I was the music nerd. And the problem was, no one wants to see a 6'3", 300-pound guy as the leading man next to some itty bitty little high school theater girl, because it looks weird. And they're right, it does. The problem was I was the same age, often younger. I graduated a year early. So I was younger than everyone else, but I looked older. So I started to shy away from theater. Even when I went to college, I was so much bigger than all the other theater geeks. And it was right around my last year of college. I'd watched a little wrestling, played a lot of wrestling video games with roommates in college, and Uh, my two closest friends in college, Sarah and Justice, uh, kind of like pulled me aside one day and they were like, have you ever thought about trying wrestling? Like, it's basically just theater for giant gorillas. And and they're right. and so I finished
I was gonna say
college.
they are not wrong.
Yeah, I finished college in May, and I started training to wrestle with Kevin Landry and Thomas Santel and a number of the other Johnny Idol, a bunch of the local wrestlers here at a school they ran in Palmer, Mass. I started there in August of 2007, and turned out without an athletic bone in my body, I was a natural. The
Pretty
bumps were
damn
right.
good from what I saw.
Yeah, the bumps were a natural from the very first one. I never once at training took a bad bump. I all the movements I understood, like the mechanics of everything was very quick for me to get. So I started as a non-athletic 300 pound. I mean, I'll just say I was a fat kid. um, I started training in August. In January, I had my first match. So a little
And tell us
less.
all about that one.
It was a battle royal, as so many wrestlers start with. A lot of us start in a battle
Yep.
royal. It's a fairly well contained space, not a lot of room to mess up. And if you do, there's so many bodies it doesn't get
Yep.
seen. Um, and the biggest memory I have about it, so it's one of the only two times that I've had family really come see me wrestle, because they're not into it, and also my parents hate the idea of like seeing me get hurt. So my mom and her twin sister, my aunt Joan, they came to that first match and absolutely hated it because they saw me getting chopped and stuff, and they hated it. They couldn't stand it. But they were, they were supportive and polite about it. um, and the one experience for me that I remember at that event was uh, someone tried to stooge me out to our trainers that every school, at least they used to, a lot of them don't anymore because we've evolved past it, but they would have a chop night. And it was when all the new kids learn chops. And the way you learn it is by getting chopped by everyone and also chopping everyone else. And everyone gets all marked up and it's horrible.
Oh yeah.
Uh, I had been sick for like a month. Like I had like mono and couldn't train. And that's when chop night happened. It was while I was out for a whole month. And I didn't know because I went to most of the trainings even while I was sick just to watch and absorb everything.
Yeah.
But it was a night where I was like fevers and stuff, so I didn't go. And so I didn't even know it had happened. But my fellow trainees who were debuting that night knew. And they tried to stooge me out. And they made the mistake of trying to stooge me out to Johnny Idol, one of our head trainers, who really liked me. Like
Oh
he'd
boy.
taken me on the road a bunch and really taken a like to me. So instead of getting everyone together to gang up on me and chop the shit out of me, which is what would happen, uh, he pulled me aside and said, "Hey, you missed chop class. Here's the basics of what you need to know to do it right. You don't have to throw one right now. I'm not going to hit you with one, but here's like, the mechanics of how it
He gave you
works."
the
Yeah. And then he said, "And here's what you need to know if someone chops you." And he explained to me how you can take one, sell away, peeking over your shoulder, and when they go to follow, you can turn around and lace them so you get them back and they can't block it. So he taught me how to defend myself if I was being chopped too much. It didn't come up in the match. I was chopped a couple times, but I always figured like I'll give them two. I'm a new kid. Anyone who wants to give me two can give me two.
Oh
If they
yeah.
do more than that, I'll do something back. But I was in there to sell and not get hurt. That was my only, my biggest worries in the first match. But it went well. And I wrestled for another, this was all out here in New England. I wrestled out here for another year and a half, being booked pretty regularly because my trainers liked me. Before I moved away to California and had to more or less start all over because I had no contacts.
That's kind of how it felt out here. I went from New York to East Coast, commentating over at H2O. Now I'm over here, freaking trying to figure out where is even the most local. Like, I got the We Love Wrestling, I got the ICW MKE, but that's 2 hours. I'm trying to see what's at least an hour and a half from me, the
Yep,
local,
yep.
local stuff. What? This will now bring me to this question here, Perry. You've been wrestling for, you said 2007 you started?
As
Which, oh man.
January '08 was my first match.
So we're looking at what year you on right now. I'm trying to
Uh,
think off the
a,
top of my head.
a couple of weeks ago was my 18-year wrestleversary.
Holy, so 18 years doing the damn thing. I gotta know, Perry Von Vicious, what was the inspiration to the human monster truck gimmick, and when did you start bringing that into your little arsenal repertoire of
Yeah.
wrestles?
So when I started, I'd been sort of just had a gimmick hoisted upon me by my trainers. They saw me with long hair that was always well kept. At the time, I was clean shaven, and they saw me coming from a god awful sales job that I had during the day. And I would always be in a very nice suit, and I had like 5 or 6 really nice suits that I spent a ton of money on, because I had to for the job. And they would see me in these suits, come and get changed, and then hop in the ring. And their brains immediately went to like, oh, he should be like a rich snob character. So for the first, gosh, 12 years that I wrestled, I was like a early Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Ted DiBiase style rich snob with the full tearaway suit and everything. It did fine. Like I had some success with that. You know, I did a lot of things. I traveled all over, and it was fine, but it was never me. Like I enjoyed playing the character. That was the theater kid in me, right? So we flash forward to everyone's favorite turning point in life, 2020, when the world shuts down.
When I
And
graduated high school.
oh,
What a year that was.
tough time to come into the world. I got
Oh
lucky.
yeah.
About a year before the world shut down was when my wife and I bought our first house. So we had our own house with a bunch of land and just got
Oh
to stay away
nice.
from everyone. It was amazing. But the world shuts down, and I had kind of started to veer away from the rich snob thing a little bit. I was tagging with Rip Bison and still using the Perry Von Vicious name. But I'd started spiking my hair, and I'd always joked that Sid Vicious was my uncle. I was Uncle Sid's favorite nephew. So for like the last year before the world shut down, I had primarily been Uncle Sid's favorite nephew, and I had a vest with spikes on it and all this stuff. And it worked well. I started doing some power bombs and things. Um, but when the world shut down, I lost access to the gym where I worked. I worked at I've always sort of worked in higher ed and in education and nonprofits, and I'd been working for a very well known. I won't say the name, but people will put it together. A very well known Western Massachusetts elite college that's only for women. People will put it together. They'll know exactly what it was because there's only one. Um, and they had a great gym, and I was using it every day, and it was awesome. It was beautiful, and I was, it was a bunch of college girls, so I was lifting a very different set of weights than they were. So I never had to compete for space or anything. It was like I had my own corner of the gym, and everyone, and as you would expect, everyone there was super nice. Like it was a great environment to be in. But I lost access to that when everything went work from home, but I still wanted to work out. But I had limited, like I didn't have a treadmill. I didn't have all these things, and it was cold and still crappy out here. So I go on Facebook Marketplace, and I put together a killer basement gym from all free stuff people are getting rid of. I've
Oh
got
yeah.
weights and benches and pull-up bars and preacher curls and everything. A squat rack, the whole deal. All free stuff that I was able to pick up. Some of it was gifted to me by Rip Bison, stuff he was getting rid of to get better stuff. And I started really taking the weights as seriously as I ever had. And I wound up looking huge and jacked by like month 3 or 4 of the world being shut down. I looked like a different person. And we were all killing time stuck at home, right? We're all spinning our wheels. There's no
Oh yeah.
shows, there's no nothing to do. And one day I'd been watching a bunch of Ultimate Warrior promos where he just talked utter nonsense. And I was like, I'm going to go tweet like this for a little bit. And I just started tweeting some nonsense
You
things.
start tweeting
And
about Destrucity?
one of my tweets was just all capitals. And I wrote, I'm Perry Von Vicious, and I am a human monster truck. It was just a tweet. It was a throwaway, stupid, I'm killing time trying to
I
keep
love
visibility.
this.
And I got messages from like maybe 30 different wrestlers that day, private messages that were like, they shared the tweet to me and they wrote, "You have to keep this." And some of them were wrestlers who really know their marketing. I won't name drop, but they're wrestlers that are like properly famous, like TV wrestlers
Hell
that are like,
yeah.
uh, so I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to run with that. I mean, that's good. I always liked monster trucks as a kid. And shortly before the world shut down, I'd wrestled in Chicago. Rip Bison and I drove out to Chicago from Massachusetts to wrestle. And on the drive home, we stopped at the International Monster Truck Hall of Fame and Museum in Butler, Indiana. And I got my picture with a bunch of the old trucks from when I was a kid that had all been restored. So I was like, this is great. It's a thing that's like fresh in my mind and I can run with this. And I thought about it and I was like, no one really ever did a gimmick that was based around monster trucks. Like there were monster trucks
Yeah.
named after wrestlers. There's wrestlers who went into monster trucks after, but no
There
one
was
put the two together.
they had monster truck wrestling matches.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like the audience crossover is so obvious when you think about it.
Oh yeah.
And so I immediately started thinking like, all right, what am I going to do with this? And I started like writing down t-shirt design ideas and ideas about like gear that I could have made that would look like the style of like, I could get some gear that looks like Gravedigger. I could get some gear that looks like Bigfoot and like
Oh yeah.
kind of compiling all these ideas. And when the world opened back up, I only did one thing while the world was shut down, and it was a Limitless was doing tapings for a series they were airing where everyone went up. You only got to wrestle the people that rode in your car because it was isolating that way. Everyone had to keep their masks on unless they were in the ring physically wrestling. There was no audience. Wrestlers in masks had to sit separated from each other around the ring and play the audience.
We
And
did
it
one
was
of these
awesome.
ones.
Yeah, it was awesome. But boy, Randy Carver at Limitless knew what he was doing because he got his money's worth. We filmed for 2 days. And in those 2 days, we filmed 84 matches for his series.
Oh my god.
I wrestled 7 times. I wrestled 4 times the first day, 3 times the second day. And I didn't have any new gear for the human monster truck because how would I?
Yeah.
All I had was like I had a different build and my hair had gotten longer because I had cut my hair short at one point. And then the pandemic came, so I let it grow out again. So now I had this big beard, I had this big hair, a completely different physique. And it was kind of the test run of like, what's this human monster truck thing gonna be? And then when the world opened back up, I did all of it. I got Gravedigger gear, I got Max D gear, I have Carolina Crusher gear, Bigfoot gear, different entrance outfits, shirts that are parodies of the VHS monster truck things I had as a kid. I did all of it. And while the world was shut down, I learned to do 3D modeling, 3D design, and bought 3D printers. So I have my own toys to sell. I had Hot Wheels scale monster trucks with the little me coming out the window. And as a result, I made bank. Like I've had a few years now where I've been doing this full time, like no day job required. And the human monster truck, the changeover to that seemed like such a silly thing. Everyone changes gimmicks, everyone changes nicknames. It was a dumb tweet I posted because I was bored and I was watching 80s promos. Wound up making me a ton of money and like sort of changing my professional life.
I love it. That is an amazing story. And that actually, you talk about toy making, Perry. I now gotta know what made you get into the toy making business. And out of every WWE figure out there, which one is your favorite? That one was fan submitted.
Ooh, that's a good one. Let's see. I'm gonna start with that one. I'm gonna start with that one specifically. The favorite toy of WWE, and I'm assuming this is
Because
ever in
there's so many. You got
WWE.
the LJNs, you got the
Yeah.
Hasbros, you got my person, you got the Maximum Sweats. Those are
Right,
my favorite.
and depending on how you want to define it, right? Like you almost have to include the WCW and ECW toys because they own all the rights to
Oh
that now.
yeah.
Um, for me though, I think
Those ECW toys are one of a kind.
so good and so expensive and hard to get now.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I think my favorite toy line from all of wrestling, full stop, is the Hasbros. I think they are a perfect toy line. Like, yeah, there's other ones that are more posable, that have soft goods, that have all kinds of like, and that's great and it's very cool. But as a child of the 80s, toys had limitations. You know, factories didn't want to do more than 5 colors on a toy or it got real expensive. So you had to simplify the design a little bit. You know, you look at Bam Bam Bigelow and his tattoos are just one shade of blue everywhere. Like
Yep.
that's and I think that's cool because it made it look similar to the Ninja Turtle toys. It made it look similar to the Star Wars toys. They all had that same vibe, and I love that. That's my favorite toy line. If it was a specific toy from that entire series, it's a toy that has eluded me. I do not have my own, but I do have a 3D scan of it. So I'm probably going to print my own parts and paint it myself. Um, it's the Earthquake toy from that line. It was Earthquake and Typhoon were the team that were together, but the Earthquake toy, I love John Tenta, love Earthquake, big Earthquake mark. And I think that's a great toy. Like it's just there's something about like a hefty, like a fat guy
Oh
wrestler,
yeah.
but like in that gear with the butcher singlet and his little tattoo on the like it's so cool.
And
And
so yeah.
I also the hipster in me who graduated college right at the peak of people being pretentious hipsters really likes that probably no one else will give that answer if they're asked the same question.
I
Um,
love it.
and as far as what got me into toy making, again the world shuts down, right? Um, and I was in a bad funk over it. I did not like. I liked being home all the time with my wife. That part was great. And I liked having the house. I was finally able to start working on the house we had just bought. I liked all of that, but not going anywhere all the time and not being able to see my parents whenever I wanted to because they're older. They only live 10 minutes from us, but they're in their 70s. So it was dangerous to visit them while all that was going on. So not being able to do that and being stuck at home and having no shows, like I had a full calendar with all kinds of cool trips. I was supposed to go out to California and wrestle like 2 weeks after the world shut down, and all of that got like ripped out from under me. There were concerts I had tickets to that were canceled. Like everything just went away, and it broke me for a little while. And my poor wife had to like see it all firsthand while she's also living through it, right?
Oh yeah.
um July, my birthday rolls around, and my wife is real good at remembering dumb crap I talk about and making a note of it somewhere and buying me something awesome when the time comes.
That is
When my
related to that dumb thought.
yeah, yeah. Oh, when my birthday came around, she remembered a story from when I was a kid that there was a specific monster truck toy line called the Matchbox Superchargers that I had a few of when I was little. I have the full set now, everything, and I just did a whole review video on my live stream. It's up on my YouTube, um, and she knew that I loved that toy line, so she also knew that when the local Kmart opened, where my mom's twin, my aunt Joan, was the manager,
Who
we went
remembers
on opening
Kmart?
day. Went to go the opening day, and they had a play set that was supposed to go with these toy trucks, and I wanted it bad. I spent the whole day pestering my mom, didn't get it. And what I found out was years later was my mom was putting it off, putting it off. She was going to get it for me at Christmas. By Christmas time, they weren't in the stores anymore. So I never got that play set. My birthday during COVID rolls around. My wife found me one on Facebook Marketplace. And when I opened it, because I didn't have any of my old trucks anymore, the guy who sold it to us just threw 2 of the trucks from the set in with it. And my wife had also bought me a different one to go with it as a present. So now I had these toys, and I was like, "Oh, this is great." And I'm stuck at home. I'm not spending money on gas to go to work. I can start buying some of these. So I go online and I picked up a few of them. But because I'd started this character online of the human monster truck, and because I'd started posting some of the stuff I had, fans were started sending me their monster truck toys. I'm not kidding, crates in my basement, hundreds of monster truck toys from different generations piled in the basement that I haven't even had the chance to go through yet from fans. And I knew there were some trucks I'd grown up watching that I really loved that never got a toy in the line. And I wanted to make my own. So I was like, at first I was I'd always done like a lot of crafty stuff. I started using like silicone and molding some of the pieces to try to make my own. And there's certain limitations with that as far as like details and sculpting. And it was going pretty okay. I'd made a couple little toys here and there, but you know, they're kind of fragile. They're shelf queens. They go on the shelf and look
Oh
nice.
yeah.
Um, and my wife just kind of figured he could learn 3D printing. He could do this. I had no background in design, 3D printing, anything like that. And when Christmas rolled around, because the world was still shut down, uh, I had a 3D printer under the Christmas tree. And she was absolutely right, because it took me an hour from unwrapping the 3D printer to having it assembled and running a test print. I was that fast at figuring that out. And then 48 hours later, I had learned a program and designed my own little monster truck as a test that I still have. It's a replica of Monster Vet, a Corvette monster truck from the 80s. And it came out really good. And that was enough. That was enough proof of concept that when the time came and the world was opening back up and I wanted new merch, I was like, I bet a simple toy truck, that exact same design, with a little me coming out the window like I'm hanging out and driving the truck, would sell. And I can tell you, I could not keep them in stock. I would print a half dozen, a dozen, 2 dozen before a weekend of shows. They would be gone before the weekend was over. I took an entire tub of monster truck merch like that when we went to Tennessee. Me and Rip Bison and Delmy Exo and Travis Huckabee hopped in a car, drove down and did a weekend of shows in Tennessee. We did the TWE Arena. We did whatever Kevin Koo's company that doesn't exist anymore was, that I forget the name. But it was
I know
two.
what you're talking about.
Yeah. It was an incredible experience. I worked with some great performers and had great shows and met great new fans. And I sold out of that entire tub of merch before the end of the weekend. The whole ride home was just, anytime we stopped, everyone would look at me. I go, "Yeah, I'm treating. It's fine." I would cover the cost. I'd made like a really decent amount of money just on merch sales. And it was because all because my wife decided to buy me a toy I never got as a child. And then she figured he'll be good at this and just bought me a 3D printer.
I love that. Trust the process and let it grow moment. I love that. And I was gonna say, Perry, how many toy merch do you have? I know you have you coming out of the monster truck. I saw you had the Hasbro.
Yep. So that's Hasbro 2.0. I had a design before. That's the fresh design that you saw when I was in Chicago, where I redid the sculpt, because as you get better at a thing, you want to freshen things
Of
up. And
course.
so I've had two Hasbro styles. I had one that was the style of the old Kinnikuman, the muscle figures, the little Keshis. I have let's see, I've had 4 or 5 different models of the Hot Wheels scale monster truck. I had a monster tank that was a slightly larger scale that had me and Rip Bison coming out of it. We sold it when we would tag together. And then I keep looking off screen here because I have one with me here. This is the half human, half monster truck figure
Whoa!
that does roll and does self balance. So
That's crazy.
yeah,
That is
those sold really well. I think I have one of those left, and I'm probably not doing them again because they're a lot to make. I like not a lot of cost, but just a lot of work.
a lot of
Um,
filament.
yeah. And then the other figures, the Hasbros, I usually like once a year, once every 2 years, I try to do a fresh version. So I'm not sure what the design on the next one will be, but I did just sell the very last one. I had an order come online. I haven't wrestled a show since mid-December because it's New England and everything kind of shuts down for the snow.
Oh
And
damn.
so I haven't had a show in almost 2 months and still making sales online.
Well, hey, at least the merch is still flowing,
Oh yeah.
my friend. That's a good thing. And we talk monster trucks, and now I gotta ask a fan submitted question. What is your favorite monster truck rally memory, if
Oh man.
any?
I have a lot. I think if it's one that I was at in person, it would probably be I got to go to, so I'd been to a lot of shows, and because we live in rural Western Massachusetts, we don't get the big shows. Um, we had the Springfield Civic Center, where they would have like the Thunder Nationals come, and like the most famous truck on the show would be Excalibur or Taurus. And, those are good trucks. You'd see them on TV, but it wasn't Bigfoot. It wasn't Gravedigger. It wasn't USA One. It wasn't Carolina Crusher. It wasn't those guys. Um, and I always had a good time at those shows. But when I was in, it would have been the 8th grade, we upgraded for a year. We decided, let's go out to Worcester in Central Mass to the Centrum, and let's see what the show is like there. And I remember being super psyched because as soon as we walked in, right in the middle of the track, just sitting in the middle of the track, was Gravedigger. And I was blown away by it. But it was in a period where they didn't do pit parties, so you couldn't go down and see them up close or anything. A week later, a friend of mine, a little girl who grew up next door to me, Mickey, told me, hey, my uncle works for Monster Jam, and my mom's not feeling so great, and we're all supposed to go to this show in like Providence. Do you want to come? And I was like, yeah. And she goes, great. We'll be by to pick you up in like 20 minutes. Yeah, I'm like an 8th grader. So like, on a weekend, you just get in the car and go. Your parents go, oh, yeah, someone else is paying for their problem now.
Oh, yeah.
We get there and walk in, and this is the memory, is we walk in, and they walked us in through the back, right into the pits. And I'm like seeing everything. And out of the corner of my eye, I see the front of one of the monster trucks. And it's in the dark, like it's in the dark back in the pits. I can't really see it super well, but I can just make out that it's a blue F-150. And I knew right away, I was like, that's Bigfoot. I knew it was Bigfoot. And so we're walking around, and I just like sidled off about 6 feet from the group so I could just get close enough. And I could read right on the front of it, Bigfoot4x4x4.com, right on the front. And I was like, oh, it is Bigfoot. Shit.
It's him.
And I'm going, what do I do? I got to get my picture with this truck. And I had like a disposable camera on me because it's, 1997.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going, oh man, how do I? And I happened to like look over, and the guy who owned the American Guardian monster truck, which was from my hometown of Greenfield, Massachusetts, was right there, and he knew me. And he just goes, oh. And for the sake of kayfabe, I'll say, oh, Perry, what are you doing here? And I was like, and I look, and the whole group I'm with are walking away. I'm about to lose them. And I'm, I'm 8th grader. I'm a kid.
Oh,
if I
yeah.
lose them, I'm in big trouble. And I saw them, and I look at him, and I saw them, and I look at him, and I go, can you take my picture with Bigfoot real quick? And he just goes, yeah, okay. And I ran over, got my picture, grabbed it from him, and I was like, thank you. Hey, I'll see you later. And I just zipped and sprinted and caught back up with them. No one noticed I had stepped away. But that moment where out of the corner of my eye, I just saw the front grille of a Ford F-150 in the shadows. Maybe the happiest I've ever been at a monster truck show.
That is that's amazing. Honestly, I love your love for the monster trucks. That is so cool. But Perry, as I always like to do it, we now shift the podcast to some of our food questions here. I love asking the guests, if you couldn't tell by the beautiful background, we love talking about some cuisine on here. So I gotta know, Perry Von Vicious, 18 years traveling on the road. What is your favorite on-the-road snack and beverage combo? What are some of your on-the-road necessities?
So my on the road snack and beverage combo, the go-to, me and Johnny Torres, who's a main commentator for Limitless and Grind and Blitzkrieg, and basically he's one of the main voices of New England. He and I graduated wrestling school together. We've known each other the whole time. Me, him, and Rip Bison would be on the road together. Delmy Exo usually in the car with us, and we all had one snack that we refer to as Old Reliable. It is the gas station egg salad sandwich,
Oh,
which sounds like a bad idea.
that's a roulette, my friend. Oh
It
God.
never fails. It has never failed. I've eaten hundreds of these things and they've always been good. They're always fresh. It doesn't matter what gas station we're at, in what part of the country, they're always good. For me, with that, it's a black coffee, iced or hot, doesn't matter, and not even seasonal dependent. I'll have iced or hot in the cold of winter or in the heat of summer. That's my go-to combo. I will say on the subject of the egg salad sandwich, it was great when I wrestled in Japan because the egg salad sandwiches at the
Oh, they're
convenience
different
stores
out
in
there.
Japan, legendary. So to get out there and find out like, wow, Old Reliable didn't even fail me on the other side of the planet.
Oh yeah. I will say though, from what everyone always says about the, have you wrestled in the UK yet?
Not yet, no.
I was told everything's very underseasoned over there.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's I
Even
mean that's
McDonald's is underseasoned over there, which is crazy.
yeah, well that's there's a certain level of Caucasian from the European region to whom flour is a spice. So
Oh my, that is hilarious. But I also now got to know because you brought that. I did not know you went to Japan, Perry. What was all that? What was Japan like? I'm
I
sure you
went on
probably had
a
a blast over there.
oh, I had a great time. I was there for 3 months, so it was a long tour. There are 3 months for a company called Kyushu Pro Wrestling, based on the Kyushu Islands, the most southern island of Japan. The major city there being Fukuoka. So I lived in Fukuoka for 3 months,
Oh, that's pretty
and
cool.
trained 5 days a week with Tajiri. Also wrestled Tajiri a bunch of times on that tour because that's the main company he works for out there. One of the big highlights there was being invited to Tajiri's house so he could cook dinner for us. And we went and we watched old wrestling on a giant TV and all just it's exactly like when you hang out with wrestling friends here.
Oh
Everyone's
yeah.
watching great wrestling mixed with terrible wrestling on purpose
Yep.
and equally kind of shitting on all of it. And having a great time and just eating tons of food. He made chanko, which is like Japanese hot pot soup, and he just
Yum.
had a huge pot of it in the middle of the table on a burner. And every once in a while, when it would start to run low, he'd go over to the stove and pull off a thing of broth, pour more in, and then dump a bunch more ingredients in. And then he would go, "Please, maybe 5 minutes, okay." And that was his way of being like, "Let it cook about 5 minutes, then go at it again." And yeah, it was a whole night of just eating all that food and hanging out, and it was amazing. The training was insane. I mean, yeah, I have incredible stories about Japan, complete with everything from injuries to funny stuff that happened in matches, like all of it.
Well, I mean, getting to wrestle Tajiri's a pretty freaking crazy one. That is
Yeah,
insane.
I wrestled him as an opponent and teamed with him.
Oh hell
So
yeah.
got to do both. I got misted on my last match there, so got the picture with the green mist and
Oh
everything.
yeah.
Yep.
That rules. Well, we're still gonna get the food questions out the way, Perry. I gotta know what's your favorite kind of sandwich.
Ooh, so for me personally, like, obviously the egg salad sandwich falls on
Oh
the list,
yeah.
but um there was a so I again I was a big heavy I was a fat guy when I started wrestling. And there was we call them grinders in New England, everyone else can call them
Yep.
subs or hoagies. There was a grinder at the pizza spot like two doors down from the first apartment I had after college. That was it was the whole thing was grilled, so it was all hot. It was turkey with Swiss, with feta, with bacon, with some ranch, and then just a pile, your typical like shredded lettuce and tomatoes and all that stuff. And that like ranch and feta and bacon was exactly the amount of like salt and awfulness that it needed. And then the rest of it just, I mean, I must have, in a year of living there, I had to have had over 100 of those sandwiches. Like it was a frequent occurrence.
That sounds beautiful. And you brought up a pizza shop, so now I gotta know, Perry, what is your perfect pizza?
So when it comes to toppings and stuff, the answer is going to be boring. I like a cheese pizza. I just like a cheese pizza. I like anything on pizza. I will literally eat anything on pizza, but a cheese pizza to me is very hard to beat. And specifically in my hometown of Greenfield, Massachusetts, the pizza spot was there's a million places called this. Every town has their own. Ours was Village Pizza. Every town has a Village Pizza. Uh, but Village Pizza was owned by my best friend in middle school's parents. They were first generation Greek immigrants, and it was their family pizza shop. Like grandma worked there, all the aunts and uncles worked there, and it is insanely good. So much so that over the years, I finally just asked him, I was like, "Gee, you guys just got to tell me the recipe," because I was moving away to California and I learned to make it myself. In fact, that's what I had for dinner tonight. Every Friday night is like the Aquabats say, Friday's pizza day, the best
Oh,
day of the week.
yes.
And so every Friday, unless I'm away wrestling, I make a homemade pizza for my wife and I. And literally right before I got on here was just finishing my pizza.
That rule. There was a reason. I was like, I can't wait for this. And then this is why I love you, Perry. But
I try.
I also got this question too. We're gonna ADHD lasso it back to this. You talked about having your own gym. So I gotta know, Perry, what is your gym regimen and what is your least favorite workout day? Because I know some people have their favorites. I know some people have their like. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm dreading my leg day." I hate shoulder day because I
Oh,
have a
interesting.
very fucked shoulder from when I slipped and fell a long time ago and I think separated it. I didn't go to the doctor or anything, so I was still able to move it. But every time I work out, I do this. It pops in and out. I was like, "Ooh, here we are. Good morning."
So I'm about to switch my workout routine up for like the first time in like a decade. I've kind of stuck to the same basic principles. I don't really get really weird with it. I'm on a 4-day split. It's typical like old school bodybuilding split where I have a chest and triceps day because when you're pushing with the chest, your triceps are extending the arm
Yep.
anyway, so it's already working. And I want each muscle group to have as much rest day before it gets hit again. So by keeping the ones that work each other together, the rest of the time they're resting. So I do chest and triceps. Day 2 is back and biceps. Day 3 is legs, and day 4 is shoulders. And I do abs on that day. My let's see, was favorite and least favorite or just least favorite?
Both.
Okay. My favorite day is shoulders. I have good shoulders. Like they've always been like chest and shoulders have always been the things that look the best on me. And my brain works really well when I can look in the mirror and see a physical response from a workout. And the pump in my shoulders happens so fast. I get like 1 or 2 sets into even just lateral raises, and like I can look in the mirror and see everything bigger than it was. And my shoulder routine is like intense. It's a lot. Like because I keep it all on one day. I think I do 4 different types of lateral raises. I do overhead presses. I do an insane amount of shrugs, and I do a lot of sets of all of it because I don't lift too. On the shrugs, I'll go really heavy. The rest of it, I keep sort of a moderate weight, and I go really high reps, which means I need to do more sets. So it's actually my longest workout, even though it's technically just one body part, and I throw abs and core in between. So like I'll do a full round of every exercise for one set, then lay down and do 50 crunches and 50 leg raises, and then go back to do round 2 of shoulders. It's an intense day, but it is my favorite, and it takes forever. Like it's like an hour and 40-minute workout. Like it's a lot. Um, my least favorite day is leg day. I like it more and more as time goes on. Um, and again, it's because of that mental thing. I need to be able to see it and I'm so tall that my legs are really
Yeah.
long, and it's hard to get a pump because the muscles are so long. I'm getting there now though. Like I've gotten to where like walking around during the day, I can sort of like feel it on my legs, like that everything's shaped and built different than it was even a year ago. So that motivates me and keeps me happy to keep doing it. Uh, Also, the fact that I'm very tall means that I have to be real careful when I'm doing legs because it's so easy to like lift the wrong way or move just the wrong way, and all of a sudden you tweak your back.
Yup.
And because I'm so tall, I'm more prone to that, so I have to be very careful about it. I also do have I talk about a Japan injury. I have an injury that I sustained in a cage match in 2017 that is a permanent foot injury that was made infinitely worse when I got injured in Japan. It was day 2 training in Japan when I hurt my foot. Infinitely worse. And it does make a lot of those exercises very difficult. I have to be super mindful of what I'm doing. I also can't train in flat shoes. You know, often you
Oh,
squat
okay.
in flat shoes. Like you'll see people wearing like Converse All Stars or doing it barefoot. I have to have arch support because of the foot injury. So I'm in like running shoes doing it, which is kind of awkward.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
yeah, so I've had to adapt a lot, and I think having a few years now where leg days never really felt solid has made it so I really don't like it. Also, it's hard for me to pose for a cool flexing photo with a pump afterwards, so like that's kind of a downer.
Absolutely. And then we also, I love asking this question. I've been including this one more into the podcast. Perry Von Vicious, who is on your pro wrestling Mount Rushmore?
So my obviously it's changed over the years, right? Like you have who you would have picked as a kid, you have who you would have picked when you were new, and a lot of that's predicated on what you value in wrestling based on what your trainers are telling you. And then I feel like now 18 years removed from when I was first training, I have a pretty good grasp on what I like in wrestling. Number one, and it's number one by a long shot, is not someone people think of as being like a terribly great wrestler because he's not known for being like technically savvy. He's not known for being terribly fast or explosive or any of those things. But Uncle Sid, Sid Vicious,
I love me some Sid.
has an insane amount of charisma and worked a crowd. He didn't have to say anything. He could just look at them and kind of like give them one of these and they would come alive. You watch his run in ECW and it's
Oh,
absurd how over
yeah.
he was. He didn't have to do anything and he was so over.
He just
Um,
showed up and powerbombed
yeah,
everybody. That was
even
it.
yeah, the first time he walks out, he wasn't even to the ring and the crowd was losing their minds. Um, so Sid is way at the front line. I fill 2 spaces with a tag team, and it's very much on the same wavelength as a Sid. It's the Road Warriors.
Okay.
They're just there's even as a little kid, the aura around them.
It's the end, the
Them.
character.
I had never seen them and didn't know who they were, right? When I first started watching, they weren't on the TV I was watching because it was at the beginning of Attitude Era.
They were
And
gone.
they got brought back in to do the Chicago street fight with Ahmed Johnson against the Nation of Domination.
Yup.
And they came out and that Road Warrior pop hit and that music hit. And they came out with the spikes and the face paint and the mohawks. And they were both giant, roided up maniacs. And I was in. I was instantly in. And I've never fallen out of love with the Road Warriors since. So those are my first 3. Number 4 is a far turn off in a different direction from those guys. It is still very much a heavyweight. But Kenta Kobashi.
Okay.
I've never seen him have a bad match. Didn't matter who he was with, and his best match is better than most other people's best match, and his worst match is better than a lot of people's best match. And he had such a great any era. He had an incredible look where it was just like that's a guy that I would not mess with. And like
100%.
like yeah, it's cool when there's a little guy wrestler who like surprises you and kick ass. Like that's great. But when a dude comes through the curtain and you look at him and you go, "Uh-oh, that rules." Like that's to me that's Sid, that's Road Warriors, that's Kobashi. and like Road Warriors delivered in terms of like just obliterating people. Sid delivered in terms of firing up a crowd, and Kobashi delivered in terms of like putting on incredible performances. Like his matches were just so good.
Oh, 100%. I love that is such like the most random but most solid lineup for a Mount Rushmore ever. But I also got this one here, Perry. I gotta know, 18 years doing the damn thing, what has been the most gratifying moment of your career so far?
Um, so I have three, and they're all kind of the same thing, but for different people, and none of them really involve me directly.
Okay.
Um, I worked very hard with three people in my wrestling career. There's three people that I've spent more time on the road with and who I worked with because I've been a teacher and I've also been a trainer for wrestling. So I'm really good at helping people get better at wrestling. And the three people that I've worked with most, who I feel like I've helped the most, are Levi Shapiro, Delmi Exo, and Rip Bison. And I had said for a long time that I would be willing to retire and I could leave wrestling happy if I could get the three of them all either under contract or to Japan. And in 2019, Delmi Exo went to Japan for the first time. And that was huge for me. In 2023, at the same time as I did on the same tour, but not being signed together, being signed separately. They didn't even know we were friends and only lived 20 minutes from each other. Rip Bison went to Japan. And then last year, Levi went to Japan for Marvelous. And having all three of them make it to Japan are probably the most special moments for me in wrestling. It was great that I got to go. Like that was always my goal was Japan. Like that was the dream. It wasn't WWE. It wasn't any of those things. It was Japan. So it was great for me. But being able to help three of my closest friends and see them go, that I don't know if anything will touch that.
Hell yeah. I love that. So wholesome. Thinking about the homies too, as
Yeah.
well. Not a lot of people do that too, so
You
it's
you,
good
you
that
got
we
it.
got Perry
You
Von
got
Vicious's
you,
out
you,
there.
you got to gas up the homies, man.
Absolutely. And then I got this question here, Perry. What are some of your favorite matches that you've had so far?
I mean, there's been a lot of them, hundreds and hundreds. Let's see. I had a match. Let's see. Just this past year, I had some of my favorite matches I've ever had. Back in March of 2025, I had a singles match at the beginning of the year at Pro Wrestling Grind. Pro Wrestling Grind is run by Delmi Exo and Rip Bison, my two closest friends. There was no harder audience for me to impress than my friends. They don't want to be impressed with anything I do. In fact, when they started the company, trying to just be like a good friend, told Rip like, "Hey, don't feel obligated to book me. Like, unless I'm going to make the show better, don't use me." And he took me up on that and was not going to book me. And then a couple weeks before his first show, someone got hurt and he asked if I could do the show. And since then, I was on every show because it was really that was the real debut of the Human Monster Truck. I'd done it in some small places, but that show was like the singles debut of the Human Monster Truck, and it was near to where I live. And it was the first time I'd wrestled in this area in a very long time. I'd been everywhere else, but not local. And when I came through the grind has the WCW doors. When I came through the doors, it was like, I mean, I can still hear it in my ears. It was so loud. And when I came to the back, Delmy was like, "Well, I guess you're booked every time now after it popped like that." And I I remember they weren't going to book me, right? And then they had to. And then we go to Japan, we come back, and they always take a break for the the sort of winter dip that I'm in now.
Oh yeah.
And a bunch of years in a row when they would come back, they would go, "Oh, we're not going to have you on the first show." And then they would, yeah, of course, yeah, we need you. And they would end up booking me. And last year was no different. They were going to leave me off the March show. And I think it was because they had no real plans for me and like didn't know what to. I was still like a popular good guy in the company or whatever, but I'd been on every show. So like, what do you do with someone after 5 years? And I went out and had this match with the Rabid Honey Badger, Ryan Mooney, and it was a banger. We did crazy stuff that I never do. I grabbed him out of the air when he was going for a flying tornado DDT, dead stalled him mid rotation and brought him up for a stalling sit out orange crush bomb. I gave him a poison Rana at 6'3", 245 pounds, and at the time almost 41 years old. I threw my first ever poison Rana. We did everything, and it was amazing. And it's never been said to me that this was the reason, but the very next show, I won the Grind Grand Championship, and I'm still the Grind Grand Champion. So like that match, I think was a turning point for me in an era that is uncertain. When you enter your 40s on the indies, who knows? So that's way at the top of the list. There's some matches that just mean a lot to me. Again, I try not to drop too many names, but a very good friend of mine that people may have heard of, a girl wrestler by the name of Bailey. I only got to wrestle with her on a show one time ever. We trained together for 2 years. And like, she's one of my oldest friends. We only ever had one time on a show because intergender stuff wasn't really that big a deal back in 2010. We had one mixed tag match we got to work together, and that means a lot to me that I got to be in the ring with her at least once in front of a paying audience. And then a lot of people will know Aaron Solo, the wrestler for Ring of Honor, AEW, and has done New Japan and all this other stuff. I was his first match in 2009. He had trained up with Lance Storm and came down to California, and it was both of our first night at a big time wrestling in California. And I was his first. I wound up being like his first 8 matches or something like that, but I was his first match, and that was pretty special. And then my last one was also this past year. It was in September, and it was when Rip and Delmy surprised me by flying Levi Shapiro, my best friend from California, out to be my challenger for the Grind Grand Championship at Grind's September show. And he and I had a big rivalry. He was my last match in California. I lost a loser leaves town cage match to him. And that was the last time we had worked together, was 2017. And we got to go have a big heavyweight main event match.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna check that out after this, because that sounds
it's
crazy.
on the Grind YouTube channel.
Bet. Well, Perry, I got 4 questions left here for you. I gotta know any cool interests outside of pro wrestling, obviously, besides monster trucks and toy making and working out.
Yeah. So apart from those, I think my biggest interest is, it's split. It's either the Disney parks, of which I am an absolute obsessive. It's one of the reasons that Dr. Redacted and I are so close. Or novelty music. Weird Al Yankovic is my biggest hero in the entire world. There's no one I am a bigger fan of. I keep his autographed picture right next to my desk at all times. I've had that since I was in the 9th grade. But like all kinds of novelty bands. I love like Steam Powered Giraffe. I love the Residents, who were like, really, that's a super deep cut. They Might Be Giants.
I love that I know all these bands. This is amazing.
Any like all the comedy bands. There's a band called the One and Only People Mover that are super mysterious and weird and awesome. The Aquabats, like any band that's like costumed with a gimmick, and like even if their music's not comedy, as long as like there's something more there, that's always been the thing for me.
Well, that'll now lead me to this question, Perry. If you could book your dream concert lineup, like 3 to 4 bands or artists. You have anyone on the table. What
Yeah.
would the lineup be?
So it's funny because two of my picks for it are already touring together, and I saw them last year, and I'm going to see them again in a few months. Weird Al would be the headliner. There's no question. It's Weird Al as the
Oh
headliner.
yeah.
Um, Puddle's Pity Party absolutely is one of the openers, and he's about to do his second world tour with Weird Al. So I was pretty glad last year when that happened. I mentioned Steam Powered Giraffe. They absolutely make the list. They're a lesser known band, but an
They're
incredible band.
fire.
They're so good. I get to see them for the first time in years. They're going to be out this way in May, and I'm so excited. I discovered them, small sidetrack here, discovered them when they were still buskers in San Diego at Balboa Park. My wife and I were out just on a vacation and stumbled upon them when we were there, and they were amazing. And I found them on MySpace because it was 2008,
Yeah.
and managed to see them again when they were still busking. It would have been one of the last shows where they were busking, and then didn't see them for like 10 years because they just didn't play shows anywhere. Saw them 2018 in New York, and they'd always been so good, but they just blew my mind. They were so good, and I'm really looking forward to seeing them again. So that's three. The other one, and it's another band I already mentioned, and I've seen them a million times too. But the Aquabats, I think, are
Yes.
an untouchable band. Like, honestly, like, people talk about perfect albums or like perfect matches. The Aquabats to me are a perfect band.
Oh yes.
The gimmick, the character, the art involved, the
The
style of music.
show.
Yeah, the whole show they put on where they fight villains and stuff, and they have the big screen with all the video production. Like,
Oh yeah.
that's my jam.
I
Like, you
saw
know,
them at Warped Tour in Atlantic City, and they were like, "We are gonna crowd surf," and they tossed a bunch of floaties and giant inflatable donuts, and they're like, "Oh, we need everyone to split," and they literally started running towards the ocean. And I was like,
yeah,
"These dudes are crazy! I love it."
they've been incredible every time I've seen them. They're absolutely an inspiration. Their merch game is a big driver in
Oh
my
yeah.
life. Yeah, I had it. It's not in here anymore. I had it. I have an alert on my Twitch live streams that people can pop. That is a show a toy, where I have to go find a toy from my collection and come show it and talk about it. I have the little bat guy squish ball, and I was like, "Oh, this is great. I'll show this off." And someone in the chat went and looked it up, and they were like, "Do you know what that goes for on eBay now?" And I was like, "No." And they sent me a private DM later to tell me. I had to go look it up. It's like $600+ to get one of those now. I paid $5 for that at an Aquabats show in 2005.
They're just that legendary, honestly. It's so cool.
Yep.
And well, as we keep the questions flowing, I also got to know, Perry, what's your favorite movie of all time?
Oh man, it's always a hard choice. And there's because you'll pick one and then later on you go, there was a different one. I should have said. Um, I think it's probably, for a long time my answer would have been, and it's a little more obscure, but Swiss Army Man would have been my answer. It's Daniel Radcliffe playing a corpse, and the twists and turns that happen in it, and the way everything's presented. My wife and I went to see it, just not really knowing much about it, and we decided to go see it at an indie theater while we were still living in California. And about halfway through the whole movie sort of feels like you're having a panic attack a little bit. And about halfway through the movie, I just turned to my wife. The movie wasn't even done. And I turned to her and I go, I think this might be my favorite movie. Like, it was just a weird moment where I was like, wow, this might be it. And then a couple years later, Inside Out came out, the Pixar movie.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm a real sucker for Pixar. And that was a hard watch for two millennials who had moved away from their families to the Bay Area, and we lived where we didn't know anyone. So seeing a movie where the main character, a little girl, her parents made her move away from all her friends at school, and now she was in the Bay Area, having to start over and suffering all that. That was a hard one to watch, and we loved it, and it was super emotional. And then my wife's parents came to visit, and we took them to go see it, and we told them, we're like, "You're gonna cry. It's amazing. It's so good." And they're both like, just exactly in that range of boomer where they were like, "You don't cry at cartoon movies. What are you talking about?"
And
And then we took
they
him, and
did.
afterwards we're asking him like, "Well, how did you like it?" And her dad like starts to speak and then pauses, and I can see tears in his eyes, and he goes, "That was a mean trick, because that movie is exactly the story of you guys moving away from us." And I realized it worked both ways, and that was really cool. So it's either Inside Out or Swiss Army Man.
That's I love that. That's a great toss up of movies. But Perry, second to last question. Now, who's on your wrestling bucket list still? Is there any names that you still haven't competed with that you're still looking out there for?
Hmm. Boy, that's a hard one. Because I've been really fortunate. I've done in-ring work with, I mean, I've had matches with Bob Holly. I've wrestled Tajiri. I've wrestled a bunch of ECW guys that come around, and I even got arm dragged and chopped around by Ricky Steamboat in front of a crowd on a show. Like, uh, major legends from many different generations. So like it's hard to pick like who I would really want to work with, but I think if there was anyone active currently, I think I'll stick to that, right? Anyone who it would still be possible.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think I would want to work with Dominic Mysterio. He's exactly the kind of opponent I really like working with, where he will play up his persona, he will play his part in the match, heel or babyface, right? And he's smaller than me, and because when I was a big fat guy when I moved to California, they all work lucha out there. They took one look at me and they said, "Oh, base." And I learned to base really great for all kinds of lucha. I can also do most of it. I can do like, jumping ranas and head scissors and stuff. But being able to work with someone like Dominic Mysterio, I think he and I would have a really good time of that, like big guy, small guy, one guy's a base, one guy gets thrown around. Like, I think we could have a lot of fun with that. And then me playing the big, I mean, I'll be honest, vanilla baby face, and him playing the absolutely antagonist heel. I think we'd have a lot of fun.
I love that. Well, Perry, we are down to the last question. My favorite question. The reason we have Superstar Spotlight. Perry Von Vicious, the human monster truck, the wrestling community has to know. What is your favorite kind of soup?
Um, okay, my favorite kind of soup is a specific kind in a specific place. In Fukuoka, Japan, at Ichiraku Ramen. And if that name sounds familiar from Naruto, it is because this is the place that it was named after in Naruto. Their tonkatsu ramen, which is the pork and bone broth ramen that was
Oh, yeah.
originated in Fukuoka at this restaurant. Uh, they are a major sponsor of Kyushu Pro, and so we never paid when we went there. And they would bring us so much food, and the 90 something year old owner would shuffle over, not knowing a word of English, but watching our matches on his iPad and showing us and wanting to be friends with us. So we would always hang out with him and have a laugh, even though we
Oh,
didn't have a
yeah.
word between us that we could speak. Uh, and that ramen, I had a lot of great food in Japan. But we'd probably been there 2 weeks when one of the other gaijin there, Jake Reed, a British wrestler who was over there, Ripper Reed, said, let's go get ramen. Like, you guys got to go to the ramen spot. They're a big sponsor. They love us over there. So he took me and Rip and Jet Wee, the Taiwanese wrestler who was over there with us. And we go in, and they just said, "Oh, no, 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 you don't, pay, go sit, go sit." And they just started bringing us the stuff. When the ramen came, I took that first sip, just a first little sip. And I looked up and I looked across the table, and Rip had taken his first sip and was putting the bowl down. And we made eye contact and both had that look of like, oh, we're in trouble. Like, this is going to be a problem. And it was so good. That's far and away my favorite soup. I don't think anything comes close.
I love that. Well, Perry, we've hit the end of the podcast. I had an absolute blast talking to you, but this is the part we talk the soup. I put you on the spotlight now. Plug your social medias, merch plug, upcoming dates, all that good stuff. We're gonna book or find you. Plug it all away, my friend.
Absolutely. I am so easy to find. I am on all your favorite social medias as at Perry Von Vicious. I'm always an early adopter. Always snag that name. YouTube.com/ at Perry Von Vicious, because at some point they started putting the at in the address.
Yeah, I can now like tag everybody who has a YouTube. It's cool.
I've had that channel for 18 years. There are vlogs of everything I've done. You can see me in Japan. You can see me driving an actual monster truck up in Maine. You can watch tutorial videos on how I make my toys. You can watch my live stream replays where I'm playing video games or doing 3D design or painting my figures, or going to Weird Al concerts or going to the Disney parks. It's all on there. You can also check me out on twitch.tv/ Perry Von Vicious every Monday through Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, where I am either playing video games or doing 3D design, or sometimes I set up the cameras down in the workshop and stream while I'm making toys physically. And occasionally I hop on and do duo streams with other folks like Johnny Torres, who I mentioned. I think that's all the socials. Merch. Once you're at my socials, it's in my link tree at the top of the link tree.
Oh, that's even easier for me to plug.
If you're looking for a toy or an action figure or something, shoot me a DM. They're not on any of the stores, but because I 3D print them, even if I'm out, I can make another one. It might take a little while, but you will get it. Upcoming shows. I have Blitzkrieg Pro's first show of 2026, February 21st in Westfield, Massachusetts, where I will be defending my Blitzkrieg Pro Jensen Championship. I am the first ever Jensen champion, won that last year, and defending that on the very first show. They haven't announced my opponent or the match yet, but I can say it's a title defense that's happening there. And then just a week later, on Friday, February 27th, Pro Wrestling Grind debuts at a brand new venue, beautiful VFW Ballroom in Florence, Massachusetts, where I will be defending my Grind Grand Championship in the main event against Andy Brown, the Thick Daddy. We'll be going one-on-one for that belt. Andy, a very deserving opponent. He's held every major title in the area, and we've wrestled before. We've known each other since our California days. He's a California guy too.
Hell yeah.
So, that'll be a great match. And then I believe the loop starts back over with them in March. The dates are, hang on, wait. I got two more I can plug. I got two more. Because in March I will be, well, technically not me, but a guy who looks an awful lot like me, known as the casual cyclist Fresh Youngman, will be wrestling at Rad Pro Wrestling in Amesbury, Mass, on March 7th. If you're not familiar with Rad Pro Wrestling, it is a comedy wrestling company that is a period piece set in 1997.
Okay, so it's like this one company called Oldie. It's literally that,
yeah.
but it's like in the 50s, and they got everyone doing 50s
instead of
gimmicks.
1950s.
I like that.
Yeah, instead of 1950s, it's just before the Attitude Era.
I love companies like that so
they
much.
They actually age in real time. So I believe last year was 97, and technically this will be their first show of 1998. So we're about to enter the Attitude Era. So who knows? Fresh Youngman might become like a really gritty character. So that's March 7th. Then I got a Blitzkrieg Pro again, March 14th. Pro Wrestling Grind, March 21st. And I will be in Maine for Limitless Wrestling at the Bissell Brothers Bash, a huge show they do. Last year they drew something like 2,000 people.
Oh, hell yeah.
In Portland, Maine on March 27th. There's a lot more shows. There's tons more as they go on, but those are the first handful that I have for the year. really looking forward to seeing the Blitzkrieg and Grind fans again, and always love getting up to Maine on those big shows. Rad Pro Wrestling is an absolute blast. The roster is primarily made up of students from the Chaotic Wrestling School, and they are a great crop of kids who are all incredible talents. So just a great place to hang out and a great place to perform.
Well, hell yeah! And I guess we'll do the sign off here for the human monster truck Perry Von Vicious. I'm Dewey the Hot Dog, Deathmatch United, Soups, Death Matches, and all good things in between. And I'll catch you